In the dead of night, when the wind howls through the Afghan mountains, there are places where no map dares to go. Valleys that swallow sound, ridges that hide history. And buried deep within those frozen veins lies a story almost no one was ever meant to hear. The secret war in the Afghan mountains. They said it was over. They said the conflict had ended. But in the shadow of the Hindu Kush, the war never truly stopped. It just changed its face. Long after cameras left and soldiers returned home, men in unmarked uniforms moved through the darkness, silent, invisible, and relentless. They weren't fighting for medals, or borders, or fame. They were fighting to stop something the world wasn't supposed to know existed. In those mountains, a war raged not between armies, but between whispers. It started with a single intercepted message, one line of code that shouldn't have been there. A signal bouncing between peaks, buried beneath layers of encryption. Analysts in dimly lit rooms stared at the data, realizing what it meant. Something dangerous was awakening in those forgotten valleys. Teams were sent. No patches, no flags, just coordinates, cold air, and uncertainty. The secret war in the Afghan mountains had begun again. They arrived under a moonless sky. The temperature dropped below zero, their breath forming ghosts in the air. They moved quietly, guided by Afghan allies who knew every pass, every ridge, every shadow that could hide a sniper or a secret. One operative later said, "It wasn't the enemy that scared me. It was the silence. The kind that tells you the mountain's watching." They weren't here to conquer. They were here to find, to uncover networks buried deep beneath the rock. Secret labs hidden behind caves, men whose names were erased long before dawn broke. Every step echoed with memories of the wars before, the broken villages, the endless valleys, the promises of peace that vanished like snow. And still, the same question haunted every man who walked those ridges. How many wars can one land survive? The secret war in the Afghan mountains was not fought with tanks or parades. It was fought with whispers, with drones, with the soft hum of encrypted radios. It was fought by people whose stories could never be told. In a small outpost nearby Dakshin, a team of 5 gathered around a flickering lamp. Intelligence reports suggested that something old, something powerful, was being rebuilt in those mountains. Not just weapons, but alliances, shadow governments, ghosts of ideologies long thought dead. Every night, the wind carried the echoes of gunfire from miles away, but no one could tell where it began or who fired first. One night, they found a hidden tunnel. It stretched deep under a mountain slope, narrow and cold. Inside, the walls were marked with unfamiliar symbols. Power lines ran through the rock, leading to a small room filled with machinery and static. A man in the team whispered, "This isn't from the last war. This is from the next one." What they discovered that night would never appear in any official report. A network of communication, linking remnants of multiple groups across borders. A silent alliance reborn in the shadows. The deeper they went, the clearer it became. Someone had been waiting for years, rebuilding, planning. The war that the world thought had ended was only sleeping. As dawn crept over the mountains, the team called for extraction, but the signal was jammed. The wind carried no sound, and in the static of their comes came a voice they didn't recognize. "Leave the mountain," it said. They froze. It wasn't English. It wasn't Pashto. It was something older. They left everything behind. Documents, equipment, even memories. When they returned to base, their commander said only one thing. "You saw nothing. You heard nothing." The secret war in the Afghan mountains does not exist. But in their eyes, something had changed. You could see it, the weight of truth pressing behind their silence. Weeks later, satellite footage showed the area where the tunnel had been, gone, as if the mountain itself had swallowed it whole. Reports came in of strange movements, trucks moving through unmarked passes, drones disappearing from radar. Every signal pointed to something, or someone, hiding deep within the mountains. The secret war in the Afghan mountains wasn't just a military mission anymore. It had become a myth that governments whispered about, a code phrase in intelligence circles. a ghost operation that refused to die. Civilians in nearby villages spoke of lights in the night sky, of strangers who came and vanished without a trace. Shepherds said they saw men walking through snow without leaving footprints. Some said it was superstition. Others said it was truth wrapped in denial. For those who fought there, it wasn't a myth. It was real. The fear, the isolation, the understanding that they were fighting an enemy that might never be seen or defeated. The terrain itself was an adversary. Avalanches buried equipment. Frostbite took fingers. Communication lines failed. Yet still, the operatives climbed. They said they could feel the mountain's heartbeat beneath their boots. One of them wrote in his last message, "We fight where the maps end. We chase ghosts because someone must." And somewhere, high above the clouds, satellites caught glimpses of movement, shadows against the snow, trails that led nowhere. Years passed, the files were sealed, the missions classified, but fragments of the truth leaked, a name here, a report there. Enough to make those who understood the pattern see that the war had never ended. It had simply gone silent. And that silence was the loudest message of all. The secret war in the Afghan mountains became more than a story. It became a warning that not every battle ends when the guns fall silent. That sometimes the most dangerous wars are the ones fought in secret, unseen by the world, unknown even to those who sleep beneath peaceful skies. Somewhere, the last surviving members of those missions still carry their memories in silence. They can't speak of what they saw. They can't forget what they lost. In their dreams, they still walk those mountains, the crunch of snow, the echo of wind, the ghostly whisper of an unfinished mission. And maybe that's how it was always meant to be. Because some stories aren't meant to end. They're meant to remind. The secret war in the Afghan mountains reminds us that peace is fragile, that history repeats in whispers before it screams, and that the cost of truth is often silence. When you look at those mountains today, beautiful, ancient, unforgiving, remember that beneath their beauty lies a battlefield unseen. A place where men vanished into myth and reality, blurred into fear. The secret war in the Afghan mountains may never appear in textbooks or documentaries, but its shadow still stretches across the horizon. Every drone strike, every coded message, every quiet decision in a distant capital, all trace back to that hidden war. And when you close your eyes tonight, imagine this: the sound of a wind so cold it burns, the glint of moonlight on snow, and a figure moving silently through it, unseen but watching. That's where the story still lives. That's where the secret war in the Afghan mountains continues. In the silence, in the questions, in the places where truth dares not speak. Because somewhere, in those ancient ridges, something still breathes. And maybe, just maybe, it's waiting. If you made it this far, you already feel it. That pulse of curiosity, that hunger for truth. Don't look away now. There's more waiting beneath the snow. Click, explore, and uncover what they never wanted you to know.